In September 2025, sports journalist and podcaster Pablo Torre dropped a bombshell that would shake the foundation of professional basketball. He alleged that the Los Angeles Clippers, under owner Steve Ballmer, had orchestrated an elaborate scheme to circumvent the NBA's salary cap. The vehicle for this alleged violation wasn't an offshore account or a shell corporation. It was a sustainability company with celebrity backers like Leonardo DiCaprio and Orlando Bloom. The story that unfolded would become one of the most complex and consequential investigations in NBA history, raising uncomfortable questions about how billionaire owners might exploit the rules that are supposed to protect competitive balance. To understand how this scandal emerged, we need to rewind to the summer of 2019. Kawhi Leonard was a free agent, fresh off winning the NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors desperately wanted to keep him and could offer him $190 million over 5 years. However, NBA rules meant that any other team signing Leonard as a free agent could only offer him $141 million over 4 years. It was nearly $50 million difference in total compensation. Most players wouldn't walk away from that kind of money, but Kawhi Leonard did. He signed with the Los Angeles Clippers instead. Years later, this decision would become the centerpiece of Torre's investigation. How did the Clippers convince Leonard to leave $50 million on the table? The answer, according to Torre's reporting, was supplemental compensation outside his NBA contract, and the vehicle for that compensation was a company called Aspiration. Aspiration was founded in 2013 by 2 Harvard alumni, Joe Sandberg, an entrepreneur, and Andre Cherney, a former Clinton administration speechwriter. The company's mission was lofty: to provide socially conscious banking services and sustainable investment products to clients who wanted to do well and do good. By 2021, Aspiration had attracted high-profile investors, including Robert Downey Jr., Orlando Bloom, and Leonardo DiCaprio. The company was valued at $2.3 billion and planned to go public via a special purpose acquisition company, or SPAC. In September 2021, 2 significant things happened simultaneously. First, the Los Angeles Clippers announced a massive $300 million 23-year sponsorship deal with Aspiration. The agreement included jersey patches, arena signage at the Clippers' new Intuit Dome, and a sustainability initiative that would allow fans to offset their carbon impact when purchasing tickets. It was presented as a genuine partnership between a sports organization and a climate-focused company. The same month, Steve Ballmer, the Clippers owner and one of the world's richest men, invested $50 million of his own money into Aspiration through his personal LLC. Ballmer has long been known as a serious philanthropist committed to climate initiatives. His investment seemed consistent with that public profile. Under NBA rules, Ballmer was allowed to introduce Aspiration to Kawhi Leonard as a potential sponsorship partner. What he claims he wasn't involved in was what came next. In April 2022, 8 months after Leonard had re-signed with the Clippers, Aspiration signed a 4-year endorsement deal with the star. The deal was worth $28 million paid directly to Leonard's LLC, KL Aspire. On top of this, Leonard received $20 million in Aspiration stock. To put this in perspective, Leonard was receiving $48 million in total compensation from a sustainability company that had no obvious connection to basketball. The structure of Leonard's endorsement contract included what became known as the Beliefs Clause, a provision that allowed Leonard to reject any required work if it wasn't consistent with his personal beliefs. This meant Leonard could theoretically collect the full $28 million while doing nothing at all. When former Aspiration CEO Andre Cherney later defended this clause, he compared it to a vegetarian endorser not being forced to promote meat. It was meant to be a standard celebrity protection, but critics saw it differently. They saw a clause that allowed Leonard to collect money for work he never had to perform. The financial arrangements became increasingly suspicious as Paulo Torre dug deeper. In December 2022, Clippers minority owner Dennis Wong invested nearly $2 million in Aspiration through a personal LLC. Days later, Leonard received a $1.75 million payment from the company. It seemed too coincidental to be random. Then came the carbon credits discovery. In June 2022, the same month Leonard's first quarterly payment was due under his endorsement contract, the Clippers' chief financial officer authorized a $21 million payment to Aspiration to fund carbon offset projects. That $21 million was precisely what Leonard needed for his initial compensation installment. In another stunning revelation, Torre reported that Ballmer had sent $32.4 million in carbon credits to Aspiration the same day that Kawhi Leonard signed his $28 million sponsorship agreement. To understand why this mattered so much, it's crucial to understand the NBA salary cap rules. The salary cap exists to maintain competitive balance, to prevent wealthy owners from simply outspending everyone else to build championship teams. Under the collective bargaining agreement, teams cannot circumvent the salary cap through creative compensation schemes. If Leonard's Aspiration payments were actually salary cap circumvention disguised as endorsement deals, it would be one of the most brazen violations in NBA history. What made this scandal particularly explosive is that it might never have been discovered if Aspiration hadn't imploded for completely separate reasons. The company SPAC merger fell through in 2022. By March 2025, Aspiration had accumulated $170 million in debt and filed for bankruptcy. When investors sued to recover their losses, they alleged that co-founder Joe Sandberg had committed fraud in how he presented the company's finances. In response to these lawsuits, internal documents about Aspiration's dealings became available. It was in these court filings that evidence of the suspicious payments to Leonard surfaced. A whistleblower complaint to the Securities and Exchange Commission specifically alleged that Aspiration had fraudulently misused funds to help the Clippers circumvent the salary cap. In September 2025, the NBA launched a formal investigation led by the prestigious law firm Wachtell Lipton and Rosen Katz. The investigation has been described by Commissioner Adam Silver himself as complex. The law firm has been conducting interviews with Clippers officials and former Aspiration employees. As of early 2026, the investigation is still ongoing with no formal findings or penalties announced. The potential consequences of a guilty verdict are severe. If the NBA concludes that the Clippers circumvented the salary cap, the punishment could include substantial fines, loss of draft picks, and potentially even voiding of Leonard's contract, which would make him an unrestricted free agent able to sign with any team. The implications extend far beyond the Clippers. If a $50 million scheme to circumvent the cap could go undetected for years, what other deals might be hiding in plain sight? Steve Ballmer has consistently denied the allegations. He has stated that he was unaware of Leonard's endorsement contract and that he never directed Aspiration to strike a deal with the player. He claims he was not involved in directing the company and that he himself was defrauded by Aspiration, which is why the Clippers terminated their sponsorship agreement in May 2023 when the company breached its contract by failing to make payments. Kawhi Leonard has remained characteristically silent, letting his legal team handle all communications. Meanwhile, co-founder Joe Sandberg pled guilty to 2 counts of wire fraud in a separate proceeding related to his handling of the company's finances. Andre Cherney, the other co-founder, has defended Leonard's contract, stating it contained legitimate work obligations and that there was no mention of salary cap circumvention during his tenure at Aspiration. As the investigation continues, the Aspiration scandal has exposed a potential vulnerability in how the NBA monitors compensation. It has raised fundamental questions about whether wealthy owners with diverse business interests can truly separate their commercial ventures from their basketball operations. It has demonstrated that while investigative journalists might catch salary cap violations, so too might bankruptcy proceedings and securities fraud investigations. Most importantly, it has illustrated why competitive balance rules matter and how the pursuit of a championship can tempt even the most sophisticated operators to bend or break the rules. The story of Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer, and Aspiration remains unfinished. The NBA's investigation continues, and the outcome could reshape how the league approaches its sacred rule, the salary cap that is supposed to keep professional basketball fair.